Anyway, this is a translation of a Gaudiya Math book. So Sripad Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj writes, quote, the three brothers, Govinda, Madhava, and Vasudev Ghosh, all belong to a Kayastha family. Govinda established the Gopinath temple in Agradweep, where he resided. Madhava Ghosh was expert in performing kirtan. No one in this world can compete with him. He was known as the singer of Vrindavan and was very dear to Nityananda Prabhu. It is said that when the three brothers performed Sankirtan, immediately Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda Prabhu would dance in ecstasy. According to the Gaura Ganodesha Deepika, the three brothers were formerly Kalavati, Rasolasa, and Gunatunga, who recited the songs composed by Sri Vishaka Gopi. The three brothers were among one of the 7 parties that performed kirtan when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu attended the Rath Yatra festival at Jagannath Puri. Vakreshvara Pandit was the chief dancer in their party. This is vividly described in the Madhya Lila, chapter 13, verses 42 and 43. Kaviraj Goswami further records in the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila, chapter 10, text 117 to 118, by the order of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, 3 devotees accompanied Lord Nityananda Prabhu when he returned to Bengal to preach. These 3 were Ramadas, Madhava, Vasudev Ghosh. Govinda Ghosh, however, remained with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and thus felt great satisfaction. The Sankirtan party, comprising these 3 brothers and their performance of kirtan at the Rath Yatra festival in Jagannath Puri, is described as follows. Everyone was astonished to see the decorations on the Rath car. The car appeared to be newly made of gold, and it was high as Mount Sumeru. The decorations included bright mirrors and hundreds of chamaras. On the top of the car were a neat and clean canopy and very beautiful flag. The car was also decorated with silken cloth and various pictures. Many brass bells, gongs, and ankle bells rang. For the pastimes of the Rath Yatra ceremony, Lord Jagannath got aboard one car, and his sister Subhadra and elder brother Balaram got aboard 2 other cars. For 15 days, Lord Jagannath had remained in a secluded place with the Supreme Goddess of Fortune and had performed his pastimes with her. Having taken permission from the Goddess of Fortune, the Lord came out to ride on the Rath car and perform his pastimes to the pleasure of the devotees. As the car stood still, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gathered all his devotees and with his own hand decorated them with flower garlands and sandalwood pulp. Paramananda Puri and Brahmananda Bharati were both personally given garlands and sandalwood pulp from the very hands of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This increased their transcendental pleasure. Similarly, when Advaitacharya and Nityananda Prabhu felt the touch of the transcendental hand of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they were both very pleased. The Lord also gave garlands and sandalwood pulp to the performers of Sankirtan. The chief performers were Swarup Damodar and Srivas Thakur. They were altogether 4 parties of kirtan performers comprising 24 chanters. In each party there were also 2 mridanga players, making an additional 8 person. When the 4 parties were formed, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after some consideration, divided the chanters. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered Nityananda Prabhu, Advaita Acharya, Haridas Thakur, and Vakreshwara Pandit to dance in each of the 4 respective parties. And aside from the other 3, the Lord informed another group, appointing Govinda Ghosh as the lead singer. In this group, Chota Haridas, Vishnu Das, and Raghava Pandit sang in response to Govinda Ghosh. The 2 other brothers of Govinda Ghosh, Madhava Ghosh and Vasudev Ghosh, also joined the group as responsive singers. In that kirtan group, Vakreshwara Pandit was the dancer. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu performed his pastimes for some time in this way. So he personally sang and induced his personal associates to dance. According to the Gauda Parshada Charitavali, the 3 brothers, Vasudev Ghosh, Madhava Ghosh, and Govinda Ghosh, were especially sweet-throated singers. When these 3 would sing, Nityananda Prabhu himself would dance in great ecstasy. It is said that their home village was within Sri Hatta in a place called either Barduna or Burangigram. In any case, it is known that Vasudev Ghosh, Thakur's father, resided in Kumarahata. After the passing away of their father, Vasudeva, Govinda, and Madhava Ghosh went to live in Navadvip Dham. They came from the Kayasta caste that has its origin in the northern part of the Radha Desh, where the Ganges does not flow. All three of them are eternal associates of Sri Chaitanya Nityananda. According to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, these three are situated in the Madhurya Ras and are in the section of those who have accepted Sri Radhika as their ultimate Ashraya Vigraha. Vasu Ghosh Thakur has written many songs about Sri Gauranga. One of his most famous songs contains the line, Yari Gora na hate, tabe ke haita kemane daritam de. Sripad Bhakti Rakshaka Sridhar Deva Goswami has commented on this song as follows. Vasudev Ghosh says, Yari Gora na hat tatabe ke haita kemane daritam de. If Gauranga had not appeared in this Kali Yuga, then how could we tolerate living? How could we sustain our lives? What he has given, the very gist, the very charm of life. Without that, we think it is impossible for anyone to live in this world. Such a thing has been invented, discovered by Gauranga. If he had not come, then how could we live? It is impossible to live devoid of such a holy and gracious thing as divine love. Without Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how could we know that Radharani stands supreme in the world of divine love? We have received all these things from him, and now we think that life is worth living. Otherwise, to live would be suicidal. Vasudeva Ghosh has written many other songs about Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. In another song, he describes the childhood play of the Lord in a song beginning with the line, Sachira Anginaya Nache Vishvambhara Raya. In Shachideva's courtyard dances Vishvambhara Rai, the master of the universe, a little golden boy. Round and round he runs and plays, at last he runs and hides. You can't find me, he laughs, O Ma, you can't find me, he chides. O Vishvambhara, his mother cries, I can't see you, my boy. He runs to her, he holds her sari's hem, and leaps with joy. His merry dance of glee would put the wagtail bird to shame. Thus sings the poet Vasudeva of Sri Chaitanya's fame. The beauty of his childish form is radiant and fair, enrapturing the minds and hearts of all souls everywhere. Vasudeva Ghosh has written another song where he asserts that Sri Chaitanya is one and the same with Rama and Krishna and Lord Jagannath. Jaya Jaya Jagannatha Sachirananda. All glories to the Lord of the universe, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is one and the same with Lord Jagannath. All glories to Lord Jagannath. The three worlds fall before his feet. On the altar in the temple at Jagannath Puri, Lord Krishna holds the conch, chakra, mace, and lotus. But when he comes from Navadvip Dham, that same Lord carries the danda and kamandalu, the staff and water pot of a sannyasi, a renounced mendicant. It is said that the same Rama who previously chastised the demon King Ravana is a Vaibhava expansion of his who descended in order to manifest different pastimes. The Gora avatar descends from Goloka with the mood of Srimati Radharani. In this avatar, the Lord preaches the glories of the holy name of Krishna in the form of Hare Krishna, the Mahamantra. Vasudeva Ghosh, with folded hands, chants the glories of the Supreme Lord, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself, Lord Jagannath, the master of the universe. Vasudeva Ghosh thus glorifies all three of those lords. What do I need to speak of all your hundreds and hundreds of avatars, when, O Lord Gauranga, you alone are the topmost? All the Vishnu avatars, as well as Lord Shiva, Shukadev Goswami, Narada Muni, the four Kumars, and all the masters of the universe are begging for the divine love which you alone can distribute. You were famous in your former Leela as Lord Ram for constructing a floating bridge of stones across the Indian Ocean to Sri Lanka. Now, in this Kali Yuga, you have given us the bridge of Kirtana, by which even the lame and blind can cross over the ocean of material existence and attain supreme spiritual happiness. Without any qualification for receiving this mercy, all men and women can dance in ecstasy and attain perfection by the mercy of Sri Gauranga. As a result of his divine qualities, the 10 directions become mad with ecstasy. Therefore, Vasudeva Ghosh says, give up all your interest in japa, austerity, and Vedic understanding and just accept my Sri Gauranga as your life and soul. According to the Gauda Ganardesh Deepika, Govinda Ghosh, Madhava Ghosh, and Vasudev Ghosh Thakur were formerly the gopis in Vrindavan named Kalavati, Rasolasa, and Gunatunga Saki. When Mahaprabhu was staying in Jagannath Puri, these three brothers would come every year for the Rath Yatra and perform their famous kirtan. After the passing of Mahaprabhu from this world into the spiritual world, these three brothers went their separate ways. Govinda Ghosh Thakur went to live in Agradweep. Sri Madhava Ghosh Thakur went to live in Danihatta, and Sri Vasudev Ghosh went to live in the village of Tamal. It is said that Govinda Ghosh Thakur had no children. As he grew old, he was in some anxiety, worrying about who would perform his funeral ceremony and offer a sacrifice in his honor after his passing away. One night in a dream, Gopinath, his Krishna deity, came to him and said, "Do not worry, I shall perform the sacrificial offerings myself. Have no fear." Even to this day, every day on the anniversary of the passing of Sri Govinda Ghosh, the Gopinath deity performs the sacrificial ceremonies in his honor. Sri Vasudev Ghosh Thakur passed away on the second day of the full moon in the month of Kartik, which is today. Sri Vasudev Ghosh Ki Jai. Sri Govinda Ghosh and Madhava Ghosh Ki Jai. So now we'll have Srimad Bhagavatam class. It's already 8:30, so I'll just proceed with the class. Is that okay? This is 19, text 19. Okay, it's up there. Apidara prajamatya prityaha shrinyota mantrinaha purajana padabhupa atmaja vashavartinaha apidaraham prajamatya prityaha shrinyota matrinaha purajana padabhupa atmaja vashavartinaha prajamatya Mataji's. Tapi, weather. Daraha, wives. Praja, citizens. Amatya, and secretaries. Brityaha, servants. Srinyaha, merchants. Atha, as well as. Mantrinaha, ministers. Podaha, inmates of the palace. Janapadaha, the provincial governors. Bhupaha, landholders. Atmajaha, sons. Vashavartinaha, under your full control. O king, are your wives, citizens, secretaries, and servants, and the merchants who sell spices and oil under your control? Are you also in full control of ministers, the inhabitants of your palace, your provincial governors, your sons, and your other dependents? Please repeat responsively. O king, are your wives, citizens, secretaries, and servants, and the merchants who sell spices and oil under your control? Are you also in full control of ministers, the inhabitants of your palace, your provincial governors, your sons, and your other dependents? So, purport. The master or king and his subordinates should be interdependent. Through cooperation, both of them can be happy. So this is very short purport here. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Sta Shri Rupam Sagraja Tam Sahagana Raghunatam Vatam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sadvadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Deva Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shiva Shakambatam Sta Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Shrimad Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvashesha Shunyavadi Paschata Deshatarane Vanchakalpatarubhasya Kripasundevacha Patitanam Bhavanibhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavananyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Guru Tishe Namaha Panchatatvatmakam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Surupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakti Shaktikam Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Demostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sate Devi Pranamami Priye Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Shmati Bhakti Vikasha Swaminiti Namane. Hare Krishna. So this is a very interesting purport and shloka. So just one word of the Bhagavatam, there's oceans of meaning to this, and we're simply trying to relish or understand just even one drop of that ocean that just comes from a few words, even a single word from the Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is Angira Rishi. He's basically dropped in. He's come visiting. He's a traveling muni, sannyasi, and so it's the duty of sannyasis to travel from place to place and not stay in any one place, and visit the grihastas and the householders and enliven them and enthuse them in Krishna consciousness and uplift them. So here we see Angira Rishi. He's doing the same thing. So he's a traveling mendicant, and it's the custom, it is still a Hindu custom, that the traveling mendicants are given great respect. the sannyasa order is still given great respect. And so he's been properly welcomed by Chitraketu Maharaj, and now after they've been welcoming, now there are some, it's called Kushal Prashna, some exchanges, and now now Angira Rishi, now he's asking Chitraketu Maharaj, how are things? So it's just like, for example, when you meet somebody, so how are you? If you meet a businessman, you say, how is your business doing? So because that's in his business. So same thing when you meet a saintly person, it's you ask, how is your preaching going, for example, or how is your how are your austerities, your yagyas, and your ashram, and all these things. So because that's their business, that's their vritti. So here Angira Rishi is also asking king about his vritti. He's asking about his, whether he's able to, whether his wives, citizens, secretaries, servants, and merchants under his control. Because if they're not under his control, then it's a big problem for the king. So, and then there you have disorder, you have chaos, and it's his business to actually control these things. So, the king is not, although he's representative of Lord Narayan, he's not a Dev. He's like the king among men. He's he's also dependent on his citizens. He's dependent on his goodwill. So it's always in his good, best interest to see that their best interest, that they're happy, that they're taken care of, that they're performing their duties, and so forth. So this is the duty of the king, is to make sure that everybody's doing their duties. So control doesn't simply mean he's doing what they want, but he's acting on behalf of the Lord and giving them and making sure that they're also properly engaged in their prescribed duties. So the Krishna consciousness movement we are all about remembering the Lord, but in the course of preaching, we have to preach to persons who are at different levels of consciousness. Some people, of course, like someone like Angira Rishi is on the topmost levels of consciousness. He's a transcendentalist. His needs, his requirements are going to be different from that of the ordinary citizens. So ordinary people, they have to deal with, they have two. We all have two kinds of lives, or we have our two kinds of duties. We have our duties from our constitutional position, which are our Krishna consciousness duties. Exclusively involves Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, ninefold path of bhakti. Hearing, chanting, remembering the holy name of the Lord Vishnu. And then we have our relative duties, or duties that arise from our conditional nature. So the conditional nature, our duties from our conditional nature, they more pedestrian, more mundane. So we all have to eat, we all have to earn some livelihood, we all have to have a place to stay, we all require some shelter, some protection, and so forth like that. So for those of us who are in the lower stages of consciousness, who are not fully Krishna conscious yet, so these duties must be also taken care of nicely, otherwise that will be an impediment to our performance of our constitutional duties. So it's not that we need like a very lavish or very great arrangement to take care of these things. According to the Krishna consciousness, the program of Krishna consciousness, we're supposed to minimize our material necessities in order to maximize our remembrance of Lord Krishna. But still, nonetheless, we have to take care of these things. And this shloka in the Bhagavatam, it's a reminder that in order to bring people to the platform of Krishna consciousness, we may also have to see to many other things. Just like we're running a temple here, so we have so many devotees who live here. We have the brahmacharis who live here. So there's some arrangement made for them. There's some arrangement made for the living, for the taking prasadam. It's not audible? Okay. Okay. I hope this is better. Okay, so some arrangement has to be made. So there's some arrangement to live, to take prasadam. If there's some medical necessity, then there's also some arrangement made. There's some either by society or by the temple itself, and so forth. So a very important thing is that this, is asking, is the Vashavartinaha, are all these people under your control? So this is a very important thing, is the control. Everybody is controlled by somebody else. Tam Ishvaranam Paramam Maheshwaram. So, of all the Ishvaras, Paramam Maheshwaram, there's a Paramam Maheshwaram. So, at different levels, we're different controls. So just like somebody, like in a family, that the different persons in the family, like the wife and the children, they're under the control of the father. So father, he may be, and according to his position in society, he may also be under the control. If he's a humble servant, worker, so forth, then he has a master. And so that master is responsible for controlling him, seeing that he's engaged in his prescribed duties, and seeing that he's also maintained as well. So controlling and maintenance go hand in hand. So unless one is controlled, one cannot also be maintained. So that is how it goes. So that master himself is also under someone's control. So if that master, he may be a supervisor in some company, so that supervisor also has a manager, and that manager is also, maybe he has working under some vice president or something, and so forth and so forth. Then you go up to the CEO of the company. CEO of the company, he lives in society, and so there are different politicians. There may be a mayor of the city, so he has to follow municipal regulations. And the mayor lives in a state, and there's a governor of the state, and so the mayor also has to abide by the orders of the governor. And the lawmakers, they make certain laws that everybody has to abide by. And within that state, he may be in a country, and in the country, there are national laws that everybody has to abide by, and there's a president, and there's a prime minister, and so forth like that. And one has to abide by the orders of the different ministers of the different departments. So in the same way, within Krishna consciousness, so we understand that that not only do we have to abide by these, but there's also a supreme government of the Lord by which everybody abides by. A supreme government. So, therefore, Krishna, he's the Parameshvara, and he's the supreme controller. Therefore, he is also maintaining us. So, it is simply not enough that we just earn some money and eat like an animal. But those who are intelligent, they understand that what is the supreme controller, and therefore, for a Krishna conscious person, that everything they do for the sake of Krishna. They know it is. Just like when you're in a company, You use all the resources of the company, if you have a job in a company, for the sake of the company. You don't use it for your own self, or you don't use it for the boss. Sometimes it's seen that, some high officer in the company or in the government might take some workers and send them to home and do some work in his own home, but that's not proper use. Proper use to use it, the government resources, for the sake of the government and for the people. And similarly, the proper use of everything in Krishna's service is for the sake of Krishna. Therefore, yat karoshi yad ashnasi yad johosi didasi yat tapasyasi kantaya tat kurushva mararpanam. So whatever you do, whatever you eat, do that, do that for the sake of me. Whatever austerities you perform, do that for me. So this marks a difference between, following this simple formula, marks a difference between a karmi and a yogi. So a karmi is someone who acts to get some personal happiness, some pleasure. A yogi, on the other hand, he acts for Krishna's pleasure. And the difference between the two is very great. It's a vast difference. And the essential difference between the karmi and the yogi, aside from them acting for different purposes, one is to satisfy his senses, the karmi, his own senses, with the fruits of his work. And the yogis, who acts to satisfy Krishna with the fruits of his work. The difference is that the yogi is able to acquire a higher taste for transcendental pleasure, by which the material pleasure becomes minimized and slack and nil. That is the essential difference. Therefore, even in terms of just good governance, if we want a good a good nation, we want a good nation. There's a Ram temple being built, now in this country. And it's a very wonderful thing. It's a very nice thing. It should be done. And so everybody is thinking of Lord Ram. And the government is even helping in this endeavor. It's a very good thing. So it is in the government's interest to encourage the Sankirtan movement, to encourage the chanting and the Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, to encourage the Sankirtan, to encourage the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Because if the people get a taste for transcendence, if they get a taste for the transcendental name, fame, form, qualities, and pastimes of the Supreme Lord, then they will quickly forget or become indifferent to material enjoyment. And when they become indifferent to material enjoyment, only then can they become actually happy. So when Srila Prabhupada was in America, so he would actually talk about this. He'd talk about what are the spiritual solutions to the material problems. To one police officer, he was like the head of the police department. It was a police department. He said that you should make your prisoners chant Hare Krishna, and because in the heart there are so many dirty things, and this Sankirtan process is the process of cleansing the heart. Cheta darpanam arjanam bhavamahadavagni nirapanam. So this was his prescription. And we see today in the countries in which this Sankirtan movement is not there, or which they try to be very secular, eventually the country goes downhill. It becomes a very the thieves, the rascals, they proliferate. You can't help it. So unless you have the mercy of Krishna, unless you have the mercy of God, a society cannot flourish. a society, a godless society, must necessarily self-destruct. So this is our program. This is our program. So a king, of course, you know, when you're in a society, you have different kinds of peoples. You have different kinds of mentalities. You're going to find many different religions and so forth like that, and that. But they say a secular society does not necessarily mean that you should be indifferent to religion. You should actually encourage it. So this is the spirit of a king. You know, the king, he knows what is good for the people, and without the Krishna consciousness, nobody can be happy. And so this is the lesson that is actually going to be that Maharaj Chitraketu is going to learn. That he wanted a son. He had 10 million wives. Okay, so we should not doubt that. When the Bhagavatam says there are 10 million wives, you know, that Chitraketu Maharaj had 10 million wives, he had 10 million wives. So Chitraketu Maharaj, he wanted a son, and he wasn't able to get a son from any of his 10 million wives. So that is why he's lamenting. And Angira Maharaj, he could read his face. He says, "You're not happy," and so he's trying to understand what is the cause of his unhappiness. That's why he's asking these questions. And then when Angira Rishi finally tells him, I mean, not Angira Rishi, but when Chitraketu Maharaj finally tells him, and Angira Rishi will try to counsel him a little bit, you know, okay, well, you know, this happens sometimes, but he says, no, I have to have a son, like that. So, okay. So Angira Rishi, being very intelligent, he performs a sacrifice, and he gives some, gives some sweet rice for his wife to have a child. She has a child. She bears a son, and the son gives him his great happiness, but also invokes great envy and his other 999,999,999 other wives, who conspired together to kill this baby. So this is the material world. The material world is full of envy. So then when this happens, and their son is killed, and the king and his queen, you know, they're all crying, they're all in lamentation, all the residents of the palace are crying, and the whole kingdom is saddened. And so basically what Angira Rishi's done is he set him up. You know, Angira Rishi knows what's going to happen because, you know, he's a Muni. He knows past, present, and future. So he knows what's going to happen. He knows it has to happen. And so when he does this, then he brings Narada Muni, because Narada, he's the specialist in bhakti. Okay? He's the specialist in bhakti. And so then Narada Muni gets to preach to him too. All the sadhus are there. Sometimes you have to, it's just a preaching technique. Sometimes somebody's just not ready to listen. And then once they get beat up by the material world, slapped around a little bit, then they're ready. So now Chitraketu Maharaj is ready. Angira Rishi came with Narada, and now Narada is going to, Narada preaches to him. Then, so not only Chitraketu Maharaj realizes, you know, comes to the transcendental platform, but so does all his wives and the people of his kingdom. And he becomes a great transcendentalist. Great transcendentalist. So it is therefore necessary, you know, so the king, it is not only necessary for the king to administer the state expertly, as you might expect, but it is also necessary for the king to promote the Krishna consciousness movement in order so that people will be able to have, to actually get the best kind of happiness and to actually become free from the victimization of their senses. So we just have a few minutes left here. Would anybody like to ask any questions? Rishi Kumar Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhuji, for a surprisingly extensive lecture on a very short purport. I don't know how you managed. My question is, this purport talks about the interdependence of those who are in governance and those who are being governed. Now, how do we reconcile it with an essentially top-down approach which is followed in a spiritual organization?
Thank you. That's a very nice question. So, the interdependence, the unifying principle is going to be Krishna in this, because people are performing their prescribed duties. So just like, just like, for example, the Shudra, okay, or just a worker class. If he doesn't take your garbage every day from your house, your kura, then you're going to feel the principle of interdependence right there. So they may be working for you, they may have a lowly job, but every job is necessary. So I think that to keep in mind that what everybody's doing is essential. You know, everybody has a prescribed duty, and the performance of the prescribed duties is essential for the upkeep of the society. So while the king or the administrator, the top-down person, is seeing that everybody's doing their prescribed duties, they also have to see that if people aren't performing their prescribed duties for some reason, like say you just fire them, you just dismiss them, or there's some impediment by which they can't perform their prescribed duties, or they're unhappy for whatever reason, then this is going to affect everybody. So if the workers are not taken care of nicely, that's going to affect everybody, because the king, he can't do his duties unless he gets that cooperation, unless people can actually cooperate and they're actually pleased to cooperate with him. So it's kind of like part and parcel of the top-down approach, is that, and this is why the this is partly why the monarchy, or the having a Raja, is very important, because the Raja, that he's actually like the father to all his citizens. So a father has that. He doesn't just have. He's not just a taskmaster. He's just not saying do this, do that. But he actually considers his citizens like his children. You know, the Rajamata, you know, she's actually one of the 7 mothers. So there's a fatherly, there's a motherly relationship between those people. So there's more of a personal relationship, like a family relationship. So I would say that, you know, if you have like an organization like, like our society, for example, that there needs to be this personal element there. There needs to be this personal feeling, like these are my people. You know, these are my, I have to take care of them just like my own children, because they are. Is that okay? So develop that personal relationship, I would say. So it's very, very important. I think one of the reasons corporations, they may be successful, but they're a bit impersonal, because that kind of personal relationship is not there like you would have with a king. It used to be in olden times, even within some people's living memories, even still, that you could go to the Raj Darbar, to the court, and actually get justice from the king, or you can actually present your problems. And that's why the pastimes of Lord Ram and Lord Krishna are so nice, because these kinds of things are described in there. Just like the pastime of the dog. In Lord Ram's kingdom, even a dog could go to the court and get justice. Isn't it? So that kind of feeling is there, and in the big society, it's missing, which is why there's so much more problems come up. Other questions? So would you like to say anything, Prabhu? And then we'll hand to
Thank you very much. Even though the purport is very small, but you try to create a good explanation. And I think you have made a very good point that big corporation, small corporation, wherever there is a personal relationship is missing, that falls apart. And whatever is there, just like in India, you see this Birla group.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go there in their office, they have pakka time for tea and breakfast and everything is means they take care of people, whoever is working for them. And I think they are the best managed group in India, and they have very personal relations.
Very personal.
So I think as far as this, our Hare Krishna society is concerned, as he was trying to find out Rishi Kumar Prabhu. So it is completely depending on Krishna and a pure devotee, Prabhupada. Even though there is some discrepancy, sometimes, it looks like something is a missing link. But everybody working in a spiritual society like ISKCON, they themselves create their own protection slip. Because they think anyway, Krishna will take care of, and I pray to Krishna, and ultimately it solves out the problem. So thank you very much for your class. It is good. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Chita Mitra Prabhu, would you like to finish out?
हरे कृष्णा। तो हिंदी बोल रहा हूँ प्रभु जी, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। तो यहाँ पर अंगिरा मुनि महाराज चित्रकेतु से 10 तत्वों की जिज्ञासा कर रहे हैं कि ये तुम्हारे बस में है कि नहीं। तो राजा के राज्य में 10 तत्वों की उपस्थिति भी होना चाहिए और बस में भी होने चाहिए। तो पहला जो तत्व है वह दारा, यानी पत्नियाँ। तो राजा के पास पत्नियाँ होनी चाहिए, बहुत ज़रूरी है। और राजा के पास बहुत पत्नियाँ हैं और वशवर्ती हैं, उनके वशीभूत भी हैं। तो पहला तत्व तो ये है भी और वशभूत। दूसरा है प्रजा, राजा की प्रजा भी होनी चाहिए। ऐसा नहीं कि राजा अकेला राज्य करे, प्रजा ही नहीं। तो प्रजा भी होनी चाहिए और वशीभूत भी होना चाहिए। तो उनकी प्रजा भी बहुत बस में है। फिर तीसरा अमात्या। अमात्या का मतलब है उनके निजी सेवक, जैसे पर्सनल असिस्टेंट होते हैं, पीए। तो जो निजी सेवक हैं वो भी होने चाहिए और बस में भी होने चाहिए। तो राजा के वो निजी सेवक भी बस में हैं। अगर वो बस में ना हो तो कुछ भी मतलब कर सकते हैं और बड़ा उसका जो है राजा का नुकसान भी कर सकते हैं। फिर चौथा है भृत्य। भृत्य माने सेवक। तो राजा के सेवक होने चाहिए और वो बस में भी होने चाहिए। अगर सेवक बस में ना हो तो बहुत नुकसान हो सकता है राजा का। फिर पांचवा है श्रेणियाँ। व्यापारी लोग हैं, जो तेल है, नमक है, इन सब चीज़ों का जो व्यापार करते हैं राजा के राज्य में, होनी भी चाहिए और वो भी उनके बस में होने चाहिए। और व्यापारी बस में ना हो तो काफ़ी नुकसान कर सकते हैं। फिर छठा है मंत्री। राजा के जो मंत्री हैं वो सलाहकार, सलाह देते हैं राजा को। अगर उचित सलाह ना दें तो उससे भी जो है मतलब बड़ा नुकसान हो सकता है। तो राजा के मंत्री होने चाहिए और वो भी उसके वशीभूत होने चाहिए, नहीं तो बहुत नुकसान हो सकता है। फिर सातवां है पौरा। पौरा का मतलब है जो नगरवासी, जो नगर में रहने वाले हैं, तो वो पौरा कहलाते हैं। तो वो भी जो है होने चाहिए, उनके बस में होने चाहिए। जो नगरवासी अगर कुछ विद्रोह कर देंगे तो बहुत नुकसान हो सकता है। फिर आठवां है जानपदा। तो जानपदा मतलब गाँव के निवासी। तो गाँव में जो रहने वाले लोग हैं, जनपद के निवासी हैं, तो वो भी होने चाहिए और साथ साथ वशीभूत होने चाहिए। तो ये राजा चित्रकेतु को ये सब है। फिर नवा है भूपा। भूपा का मतलब है जो पड़ोसी राजा। तो पड़ोसी राजा होने भी चाहिए और वशीभूत होने चाहिए। अगर पड़ोसी राजा वशीभूत नहीं होंगे तो बहुत नुकसान कर सकते हैं, राज्य में आक्रमण करेंगे, इधर से उधर से जो है बहुत अशांति पैदा कर सकते हैं। तो उनके आसपास के जो राजा हैं वो भी उनके वशीभूत हैं और वो जो है उनके अनुकूल हैं। फिर 10वां है आत्मजा। आत्मजा का मतलब पुत्र। राजा के पुत्र भी होने चाहिए। पुत्र होने चाहिए और वशीभूत भी होना चाहिए। लेकिन यहीं पर एक कमी है, राजा को कोई पुत्र नहीं है। तो अंगिरा मुनि जो है 10 तत्वों की बात कर रहे हैं, जिनमें से 9 तत्व जो है राजा के पास हैं और उनके कंट्रोल में भी वशीभूत भी हैं। लेकिन 10वां जो है आत्मजा पुत्र, राजा के पास पुत्र नहीं है। पुत्र होने चाहिए और पुत्र वशीभूत भी होने चाहिए। अगर पुत्र हो और वशीभूत ना हो तो पुत्र तभी धन भाजाम भीति, तो पुत्र से भी पिता को बड़ा भय हो सकता है। तो यहाँ पर 10 तत्वों की आवश्यकता भी है और 10 के 10 वशीभूत होने चाहिए। अगर एक भी अगर कुछ गड़बड़ कर देगा तो राजा की अशांति, राजा को अशांति पैदा हो जाएगी। तो ऐसा नहीं कि मतलब पत्नियां सब अच्छे हैं, 9 तो अच्छे हैं, लेकिन 10वां तत्व वशीभूत नहीं है या है ही नहीं, तो राजा कहेगा ठीक है कोई बात नहीं, 90% तो ठीक है, 10% की कमी नहीं। या 10 में से 10 होनी भी चाहिए और वशीभूत भी होने चाहिए। एक भी अगर जो है मतलब ना हो, अगर हो और वशीभूत ना हो तो अशांति का कारण बन जाएगा। और राजा की अशांति का कारण क्या है? उसके पुत्र नहीं है। पुत्र हो और फिर पुत्र जो है अगर वो अपने कंट्रोल में ना हो तो परेशानी हो जाएगी। तो आगे चल करके पुत्र हुआ भी, उनको पुत्र हुआ तो फिर उसका जो है देहांत हो गया, तो फिर अशांति। तो यही जो है राजा के लिए जो है बहुत आवश्यकता है कि 10 तत्व हों और उनके वशीभूत हों, और नहीं तो जो है फिर क्या हो जाएगा, एक भी ना हो तो उसके लिए, जैसे शरीर में कहीं भी अगर घाव हो जाए तो पूरे शरीर में अशांति पैदा हो जाती है। उसी प्रकार से 10 के 10 तत्व जो है राजा के होने चाहिए और वशीभूत होने चाहिए। और अंगिरा मुनि जो है जब पूछ रहे हैं तो अंगिरा मुनि ये संकेत कर रहे हैं, राजा को संकेत कर रहे हैं कि 10 आपके पास नहीं है। और राजा चित्रगुप्त कहते हैं हाँ आप तो जानते हैं, आप जानते हैं, आपको पता है, आप तपस्या के बल से जानते हैं कि मेरे पास एक तत्व की कमी है। वो क्या है? आत्मजा। मेरे पास वो नहीं है और मैं परेशान हो रहा हूँ। हरे कृष्णा। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।